Hi everyone, Wee Yin here. This is going to be a different recording from what you're used to. So this is my acne story in celebration of Acne Positivity Day, which is the 1st of September. So that's today. The podcast goes out tomorrow, but recording this today. So this is going to be quite frank, it's going to be quite honest. And apologies for Angel flying about there. And honestly don't really know what I'm going to say. I've been thinking about this since we planned this, basically. I know we celebrate the national days every day of the year, and tomorrow there is going to be it's actually National Lazy Mums Day tomorrow, and we could celebrate that, although me and Alexandra have no idea how we would actually celebrate National Lazy Mums Day, because unless we are really sick and we're lazy because we're sick, if you know what I mean, there's no way we would know actually either how to do that or without feeling guilty or anything like that, if you know what I mean. So to do something tomorrow, like for me, it'll be like a pure slapstick reel or whatever. So in all seriousness, obviously Acne Positivity Day is something that was close to my heart, so I wanted to put my mark on it, basically, pardon the pun. So acne to me is and has been a massive part in my life since I was a teenager. Started getting it when I was a teenager, maybe primary 7 or just going into first year. I was bullied all through I say all through primary, but just in the later years of primary school, and it was by boys. And they say, like, if boys bully you, it usually means that they like you. They didn't like me, so it wasn't like that. It was more, I don't really know. I've tried to sort of block that out, but when I went, I didn't go to the secondary school that I was meant to go to, if you know what I mean. You know how you've usually got a feeder school that, like, you would go to? Well, I went to a different secondary school because I obviously didn't want to go to the same secondary school as I went to with the primary school, hoping that it would change. So I went to a different secondary school. Unfortunately, it didn't change. It was just a different group that sort of migrated towards me, that picked on me for different reasons, but mainly it turned out it was because of my skin. So back then, I mean, kids are cruel. We all know this. But now they're cruel for different reasons. But back then, kids were cruel and picked on your appearance. So back then, they picked on you if you had braces, they picked on you if you were tall, if you were short, if you were fat, if you were thin, and if you had acne. So I used to get called pizza face. That was a biggie, really, for me. And I always remember I was always at the doctor's for creams and potions and lotions and all that kind of stuff, and forever trying to find the right medications to treat my acne. So Roaccutane was not big back then, and it was like severe, and that was like if you had it on your back, had it on your chest, like your shoulders and all that, that was then they would give you Roaccutane kind of thing. If you had it on your face only, they weren't really keen on giving you Accutane, and they just sort of like hit you with Dallas tea at the time and simple moisturizer and all that kind of stuff. And that's basically what you had to do. So when I was growing up, I was a dancer, and so wearing makeup on the stage and stuff like that was great, because obviously that was when I got to cover my acne up, and I was on the stage obviously, and that was where I felt myself, if you know what I mean. So like my makeup was on, obviously you couldn't see my acne and all that kind of stuff. I was on the stage, I was doing my thing and all that kind of stuff, but at school didn't wear makeup. So that was when I was my quietest, my shyest and all that kind of stuff, and people obviously seen that as a vulnerability because of my face, and obviously just because that was, I was really shy, I was really withdrawn and all that kind of stuff. And I totally see why people like sort of picked on me, and it was a group of girls that were in the year above me, and it was either because they were quite pally with this boy who quite liked to pick on me, or they just picked on me anyway, kind of thing. And I always remember we were in English and we were doing an English assignment, and we had to put my picture up, and the pictures all get put up, the class pictures all get put up and things like that. And I can't even remember, I don't know if it was a biographical thing we were doing or whatever, but anyway, our pictures were up and we had to put information underneath them and all that kind of stuff. And went in the next day and my picture was defaced. So always remember, picture was defaced, and so they had drawn on it and had taken a compass to it and obviously like stabbed it and all that, and they had put just adding extra spots where extra spots should be, pizza face, blah blah blah, creators, you name it, everything was just written on this poster, bit of paper, whatever. And it was first period, so it was like the teachers had obviously just come out of the staff room and walked in, and we had walked in, and it was one of the ones you're walking up and you see it, and the teacher like tries to get to it before you let you sort of see it, kind of thing. And I was just like, so I mean obviously it still sticks me. I'm 42 now, right? Still never found out who done it, and but that still sticks with me. And I mean, that whoever's done that has probably forgot all about that. Do you know what I mean? But that's still stuck with me now. So that's maybe 30 years ago, maybe, give or take. And that's when I stopped getting my pictures taken. And I grew a fringe so that I could at least hide, obviously, like the spots on my forehead and things like that. And that hairstyle was with me like through primary school and things like that. Just because like you were a wee girl, and like I had I mean, for the life of me, I don't know why my mum thought giving me, I mean, I was one of the kids where you get a bowl stuck in your head and your mum cut your hair like round the bowl kind of thing. So I had a bowl cut, and then I always sort of had a fringe. My hair was so thick, so thick, like my fringe like stuck out like an inch from my actual forehead, like but I always remember having a fringe, and my hair was really dark, and my hair was always really long. So I was able, you know how, and I always say this, right? I mean, you would think I had a fascination with the film The Incredibles, right? I do like the film The Incredibles, right? But you know how the girl in The Incredibles, Violet, right? You know how she's got the dark hair and it like hangs down in front of her face, right? So she totally hides behind her hair. That's exactly what I was like in high school, basically. But I was really into my sports, so my hair was always tied up. So when it wasn't down, it was tied up. And obviously, because of my acne and things like that, I was always sweating. So no matter how much Dallas tea I put on, no matter obviously what lotions, potions, and everything else, it was always sliding off my face and things like that. So people are always under this conception that acne means that your face is dirty and it's manky and all that kind of stuff. It's absolutely nothing to do with that. It's genetic. You're just really unfortunate. So my dad had acne until he was in his 40s. And when I was a teenager, like, my dad quite flippantly said, I mean, unfortunately, you're going to have like skin like me, and I had acne until I was in my 40s, and like, you're just going to need to deal with it. Like, my dad didn't realise that there was like medication and stuff that you could get from the doctors, and even then, like, the stuff that I got, and for years we were obviously trying this, trying that, and what have you, and cried myself to sleep at night. It was sore to touch. Obviously hated what I seen in the mirror. Didn't want to go to school. Just, it's horrendous, and you don't want to go to school. And obviously I was bullied for it. My pictures were defaced. Nothing worked medically wise. I tried everything. So I was a picker, even though it's the worst thing you could do. And I mean, I'm just looking like at the mirror, and because this has got, like, it's on my Zoom, it's got a retouch on it, right? So like, you can't see my skin complexion, but I'll post a picture on the social. So I've got a lot of scarring on my face, and it looks like craters on my face, and I've tried everything. Like, even now, I wish somebody would invent like a skin polyfiller that would just, I would put in my face, and it would fill in all the craters, so that when I put my foundation on, it would just sit on top of my skin, and it would give me that total Instagram effect that it just looks flawless. But there isn't. So unless I had all the money and all that, like, to completely have my skin resurfaced, it's not going to happen. So when I fell pregnant with Eve, I broke out. My acne was worse than it had ever been when I was pregnant with Eve. And although I was pregnant, it was the worst ever. It was sore to even speak. It was absolutely horrific. And it was just lotions and potions again. There was nothing they could give me. They gave me antibiotics because it was so sore. And then obviously, as soon as you have the baby, it clears up. That's just what happens. It was the same. I've got IBS, and it went away when I was pregnant, and then it came back again as soon as I had the baby. It's always the same. But I was a picker with my acne, and when I was at school, when you pick, obviously things start weeping. It starts either weeping pus, or it weeps liquid, it leaps blood, whatever. And I was so depressed. I was so down. I just wanted everything to heal. I wanted it to go away. I was like Google wasn't out at the time, but like, you know how you're like trying to read things, like you were at the library and obviously trying to find out what's going to clear this up and all that kind of stuff. And it ended up, I thought, right, okay, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the, like a new tone, right? I used to obviously cleanse, tones and moisturize, thinking that that was going to solve everything, right? Toner would sting, and I'm like, that must be doing something right. It must be clearing, it must be purifying the pores and all that kind of stuff, right? You're just desperate at that stage. So I'm like, right, okay, what's going to sting more, that it's going to like dry everything up and purify and all that kind of stuff? And I was that desperate that I used to use nail polish remover on my face just to dry it up, to like, I was like, this must do something, right? This must, I'm like, if it burns, it must mean that it's like drying things up and it's killing all the dead cells. And you know how that way, because you're so desperate to just get rid of it, to do whatever you can just to get rid of it. And I remember using nail polish remover, like I would pick and scratch and then I would put the nail polish remover on and it would sting like mad, but I didn't care because I was just like, right, okay, this must do something, this must like dry it up and all that kind of stuff. And then there was other times where I'm like, right, okay, this isn't working, like what else could I use? And I remember like a new exfoliating, and I was like, this is exfoliating, it's too gentle, like I need something rougher. What am I going to use? And I would like get pumice stones, and like I would rub my face with pumice stones, like trying to resurface like my skin. Emery boards, you name it, anything that was super harsh, like yeah, anything that was what's the word I'm looking for, abrasive, that I thought would resurface my skin. That's what I would use, because I was so desperate basically to have this flawless skin. And because then I was like, they won't pick on me, I'll be beautiful. I just wanted to have that perfect skin. And it's just never going to happen. And I'm 42 and I've still not accepted that. But not accepting that years ago meant, okay, I'm never going to be beautiful. So how am I going to stand out? Because at the end of the day, you thinking you're not going to be beautiful psychologically then meant to me, I'm going to be left on the shelf. So I was like, right, okay, what's going to happen to me then? I'm going to be left on the shelf. So now thinking about it, I'm like, okay, well, I knew I was a bit different, obviously. And I think that's where, obviously, I knew I was different in my sense of my fashion and all that kind of stuff. We've spoke about this in the podcast many a time. So I knew I was different in terms of my fashion and things like that. So I knew I would be spotted, for want of a better word, or noticed for my choice or non-choice in fashion. We've spoke about how me and the Big Yin got our Big Yin and the Wee Yin, or the old name as the Big Yin and the Midget with Teeth, and how it would be Zandra used to walk in with a pole up her arse, and then I would jump out and go, hi, and they'd be like, there she is. Life and Soul of the Party, always doing the walk to the dance floor dance, no matter where I went. I would be first on the dance floor, last on the dance floor. My family always used to say I had a smile that lit up a room, and every time they said that, there's a line in Only Fools and Horses where Del Boy says that, he's like that, she walks in and she just lights up a room, and Rodney says, yeah, usually your girlfriends walk in and the first thing they do is light up a fag. I mean, I never smoked, right, but that line, every time somebody says that, like, you walk in, like, your smile lights up a room, and Rodney in my head goes, I usually walk in and light up a fag. And I'm like, right, okay, so my smile, so I was like, right, okay, my teeth are quite nice, right? So I used to look after my teeth. And I used to like my legs, and I used to get compliments on my legs all the time. So I used to make sure that my legs looked good every time that we used to go out and that. So I was like, right, okay, my legs look good. I was like, I've got my fringe, that's okay, I can hide behind my fringe. Okay, my teeth are looking good, right, okay, I'm doing all right, should be all right. But to have that confidence, that was probably when I started drinking, and the drinking is what gave me my confidence. So although I was really shy and reserved and all that when I was at school, when you go out into the big bad world, because I knew that my looks were a massive issue for me because of my skin, basically, no amount of makeup was going to cover it. So when I was a teenager, I used to wear a CoverGirl back in the day. It used to come in like a compact and pan stick, and there was a makeup at the time called Dermablend, which was, it was like a special effects makeup that could be used for burn victims and super high HD coverage. HD was just coming about at the time, and my dad forked out the money for that for me, because it was really expensive at the time, and I wore that, and it was like a trouble to put that on, but it gave me the confidence to go out, and that was like what I wore when I went out kind of thing. But I had that on, but I still didn't feel confident. So no matter how much makeup I had on, I would always need to have a few drinks to give me the confidence to go out or to even speak to somebody. And sometimes that was even my pals. And or when we were going out to meet pals that maybe we hadn't seen for a while or whatever. So I suppose then the drinking just got worse and worse. And the other thing I used was sunbeds. So using the sunbeds meant that I wore less makeup, because obviously the melatonin in your skin changes, and obviously it gave me the colour, which sort of disguised the scarring. But what it did was heighten the pigmentation in my skin. So it gave me these really dark areas in my face, and especially up here. But because I had a fringe, what happened was I just let that fringe grow out. And basically letting the fringe grow out meant I could show off my full face. But I had all these dark bits. But I didn't mind that. I didn't mind having dark bits because I was so dark at that point that I didn't care. I was like, I've got a tan. I don't care. Like I could pull anything off. I was so confident. Like I was probably overly confident, as well as the drinking. So I had a tan. I was drinking to excess, and my skin didn't bother me because I was like, you don't see the scars, you don't see, so it just hid all that. But I was replacing that, I was replacing my vulnerability with this absolute confidence and mask, basically, that just was not really me. And looking back now, I mean, that was just to hide absolutely everything. Not only was I putting my health at risk, like my my outer health, obviously not my skin and things like that, but obviously my internal health as well with my drinking and things like that. And it only takes 6 minutes for one drink to completely distort your brain. And 6 minutes, I mean, that's not even one drink. Do you know what I mean? That's like half a drink. So imagine, I mean, it's not even, to me, that's not even worth imagining, right? Because me even talking about drink will probably give me a drink dream tonight, and that's just not worth me thinking about. But that put me into like being a anorexic, being an alcoholic. And then when I stopped using the sunbeds, obviously the hyperpigmentation started to fade, and then the scars came back. And when the scars came back, that's me started to shrink back into myself again. And then I started again buying all the on the market skincare, reducing scars and banishing scars and resurfacing and repolishing this and blah blah blah, you name it, whatever was out in that market, I was buying it. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of pounds over the years trying all this shite basically that's on the market of resurfacing skin and doing this and doing that and blah blah blah. And you only get what you pay for, basically, right? And there's all these wonderful things and all the rest of it, but you need to do your research on them. So when we were getting married the first time, I went to doctors and she says, okay, let's try this. And if that doesn't work, we could put you on Roaccutane. Now, Roaccutane, so when we get married the first time, Craig's going to hate me for this, I think I was 31, 32. So that was maybe 10 years ago, maybe. So obviously it had been about for a long time at that point. And I knew the side effects of Roaccutane, and I thought, no, when I went to the doctors, we got engaged in the January, we were getting married in the November. So we didn't have a long time before we get married. And I thought, the side effects of this is too severe in such a short time that I don't think I could go on it. So we need to think of a plan B kind of thing. And what I did was I went to a beautician who I had been going to and who used Declor products. And I knew that Declor was a very pricey, high-ranged skincare. And I said, Anne-Marie, get married. This is what I need you to do. So she's like, right, okay. So I told her what I thought my problem areas were. And I said, and this is basically what I want the outcome to be. So I explained that I was very self-conscious about my scarring. I was self-conscious about my hyperpigmentation, that even at 31, I felt as if I was losing the collagen. I was conscious that my skin was thinning because of the amount of sunbeds that I had used, and basically the damage that had been done. And she agreed with absolutely everything that I had said. And what she basically did was she did a full skin analysis, and she came up with a skincare plan for me. And it involved a whole load of different facials, and it was over like a certain amount of months. And she says, okay, well, we can do a couple of basic facials and all that. We'll get all the toxins out your system, and then it will be like a comprehensive facials right up until the wedding, so that obviously your skin's in the best condition it can be, so that you basically have a very minimal makeup on by the time you walk down the aisle, because I didn't want to go down the heavy route makeup on my wedding day, because I had been hiding behind that mask all my life, and I didn't want to do that on my wedding day. I didn't want to be back in the sunbeds before I went and had like walking down the aisle or anything like that. I wanted to like be natural and blah blah blah, because Craig had it when me and Craig had known each other for a while. Like, me and Craig go back a long way through a long and winding path, and Craig accepted me for who I was, and me and Craig had a very similar background when it came to acne and relationships and confidence and depression, anxiety, things like that. So me and Craig are very much the kind of same person when it comes to things like that. So we are very much interlinked like that. So he knew exactly where I was coming from when, yes, it was an investment and things like that in my skin, but he knew exactly why I had to do this. And that's what I did. And I invested. It was expensive, but you prioritize what you prioritize in. So, and when my wedding day came, my skin was the best condition it's ever been in, I think. And since then, like, I don't really go out in the sun anymore. I've never been on a sunbed again. That's after having 4 moles cut out. You would think after the first mole I would never use a sunbed again. It did not stop me. I had 3 other moles cut out after that. Yeah, hid behind a fringe, and the acne stayed with me up until I was in my 30s. And I did promote the Lumi Spa for a while, and it did work for me. It did work for me for a while, but then my skin took a very bad reaction to it, to the extent that I was on antibiotics for 6 weeks. It was a bacterial infection, and it's left me with really horrible scarring on my chin. I don't know what it was down to, but she just said, you need to stop using it and we need to put you on antibiotics. So it does work. It does work for a lot of people. And it worked for me for months, and then it didn't. But I, at that point, was using obviously Cleanse, Tone, Moisturise, my face mask, all that kind of stuff, and my skin was brilliant. And then that happened, and it sort of put me back to, am I putting too many products on my skin? Because your skin can be too clean. And you would never think that. You would never think, oh, it's too clean, like, but it can be, and your skin can go, I can't cope with this, like, it's too clean, I need dirt in it, so that it sort of like, not regulates itself, but so that it goes, right, okay, I can start fighting bacteria and things like that again. So I just started basically washing my face again and then just leaving it. Like, I wasn't putting any product on it at all, especially when I was on my antibiotics for the 6 weeks, because I was like, I'm absolutely petrified to put anything on this, in case it flares up, in case anything happens, in case, oh, it was just horrible. And then you go back to the basics. You always, always, always go back to the basics. And then I went back to what I knew. And I went back, I felt like, you know how that way you go crawling back to something, like sometimes like in your hands and knees, and you're like that, I'm back again. And it's always to number 7. And I was like, I'm here to start again. And it's the Protect and Intense or whatever it is. And it was my Cleanse, Tones and Moisturise. And I went back, and it was the Body Shop Himalayan face mask. It's a clay one, and it draws out all your impurities and all that. And I absolutely love that clay mask. And it's just great, and the difference you see in it. And I got in touch with one of it's Mia Gray. I'll definitely tag, I'll tag her here, but she actually got back to me. I messaged her, and I just I said to her, she's one of the activists for Acne Positivity, to say, in all my counselling sessions that I've had through the NHS, through private, they've not given me the confidence that she has on her Instagram page, like, than she has over the past few weeks of me following her, because they are trying to do away with this Instagram filter, basically. So we live in a filtered life now, and we have this filtered lifestyle. Like, when was the last time you took a picture without a filter on it? I mean, I posted a video on my stories, whether last Friday or the Friday before, and me and Neve were going to the pictures, and I videoed the story, and it was just to say that we were going to see a film about a psychotic client, and I didn't put a filter on it deliberately. I absolutely despised what I seen in that on that video. I absolutely despised, but I pushed myself to do it because that's normal. That is who I am. I mean, that is who I am, and it doesn't matter if I don't like it. That is who I am, and these filters just give everybody a false sense of who people are. That isn't who I am. That's not who you see if you see me in the shops. How many times do you see people that you see on Instagram in the supermarket and go, oh my God, like, I had to look twice to see if that was really them, because they filtered their pictures to fuck. Because is it because they don't like what they see when they look in the camera either? No, it's just because that filter's there and they can use it. Why do we have these filters? Like, textured skin is normal. Not everybody has that pure, smooth, like, baby skin. I would love to know who these people are, because they must, I don't know what planet they live on, but I don't, like I know what planet they live on, right? Because they are the girls that I was standing next to in the pubs and the clubs when I was going out, right? I'm under no illusion. Like that is who, and that's who I was hiding from, because I didn't want to be standing next to them. There was just no way I was standing next to them, right? And if I was standing next to them, I was fucking away from them, and I was on the dance floor. Because like there's no competing against them. Absolutely no way. But I'm normal. Like, and I'm pure hypocritical, like having this retouch on, right? But that's only because it's on. And I will post a picture on my socials without this on. But in all honesty, I don't think I could have come on and done this without this on, because I am literally looking at myself on the screen. And I probably couldn't have done that without this retouch on. And that says a lot. That says a lot about me. It says a lot about society. And these Instagrammers like Mia Gray, especially, and they're changing this. They are changing, like, that textured skin is normal. Acne positivity. Who would have ever thought that this is mainstream? This is what we need to be teaching the younger generation. I mean, how many teenagers are still suffer with acne, who I hope to God none of them are listening or watching this story when they're 42 going, that's my story. I pray to God it isn't. I pray to God they're like, oh, like, stopped using filters like when I was 13, because that was just for, like, that was just for fun. Like, using filters was just for fun, the way it used to be, like in Snapchat. Like, God, that was only a few years ago where you were using a Snapchat, you were using a filter for fun in Snapchat, like for the dogs and things like that. Now we're using it to touch up your features and things like that. Touch-ups used to be for Photoshop, like when you were actually taking a picture. Now you do it before you take a picture and post it. Just take a regular picture. Remember, you used to take a picture and you never seen it for about a week, because you took it and you wound the camera on, and then you put it in the chemist, and then you got it back. You couldn't edit a picture then. Nobody, if you were unhappy with the picture, you couldn't go back and edit it then. Why do we do it now? I mean, there's not many pictures of me when I was younger, for all the reasons that I've said before, in case anybody got a hold of them, defaced them, whatever. And I'm okay with that. I still don't take many pictures now, unless I've got my full face of makeup on. I don't come on the camera unless I've got a filter on. This isn't even, it is a filter, but it's a retouch. It's not, I've not really amended anything. It's called soften or whatever it is. It's still not a true reflection of me though. That isn't my skin tone. That's not my, you can see it. a wee bit there, like but we need to just start being our normal selves. And I'll start that. I promise on this video that I'll use less filters. I'm not going to say I'm not going to use them. I'm going to say I'm going to use less of them. I just hope that they slowly fade away and we go back to just being our normal selves and showing the real you on camera, the real you in pictures. But for any mums out there that have still got acne, just embrace it. It's part of you. Just don't use nail polish remover in your face or emery boards or pumice stones or... But there's definitely treatments out there. But yeah. But happy Acne Positivity Day.